I think the Red Sox have officially set the bar for this offseason. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. In today's video, we're breaking down the latest statements by ownership mouthpiece Sam Kennedy. We're going to talk about why this is probably the boldest statement he's made so far, why this should be a little bit exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, and of course, how this could impact the offseason. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are still raising money for Movember. We are very close to our goal of $1,500. We're only about $150 away, so if you want to help us reach that goal, all you got to do is click the link in the description or the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for getting us to that 1,500, and of course, for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Well, last night, pretty much around, I would say 9 o'clock last night, p.m. Eastern time, an article with Sam Kennedy was released where he did a phone interview for the Boston Globe. And in it, like I said in the intro, he made some really bold claims, and I think some claims that we haven't heard from Red Sox ownership in a while. And it starts with this quote right here, talking about what he plans on doing this offseason. Even if it takes us over the CBT, our priority is 90 to 95 games and winning the American League East and winning the division for multiple years. Now, I know everyone's immediate reaction to this is, oh, this is word salad from a guy whose words ring empty in New England and beyond. And right now, you're not wrong, right? You have every right in the world to be pessimistic about the words that come out of ownership's mouth, because over the last couple of years, everything they've said, they have not backed up behind the scenes. But I do want to point out some significance to this quote right here, and it has everything to do with that first line, even if it takes us over the CBT. And the reason that's a relatively interesting quote from Sam Kennedy is because even last year, when we had the words full throttle plastered over everything last offseason, to the point where I think those words are burned into Red Sox fans' memories, we never really had any conversations from the ownership about what they were planning on spending in the offseason, at least not until they made the statement that they were going to be, I can't remember if it was lowering or staying the same payroll-wise at winter weekend. They kept to their point of saying, look, we don't expose payroll probabilities. We think that's a competitive advantage in the market. This is kind of a 180 from that, right? This is kind of a 180 in philosophy here, where instead of doing that, they're saying, look, we are willing to go over the CBT. We are willing to financially invest in the Boston Red Sox. And again, I understand that a lot of people are skeptical at the bare minimum about comments like this, but I do think there is something to that. The Red Sox, but despite what you may think, aren't a dumb ownership group. They understand that by making statements like this, they are setting expectations that they are then expected to meet. This isn't something at this point they can continue to get away with. They can't continue to sit here, make these claims, and then not back them up, because at some point, people are going to stop paying attention, and that's going to, at the end of the day, hurt their bottom line. So I do think there is at least some merit to that statement from Sam Kennedy. I do think it's interesting because, again, it's a complete 180 from what they've been saying over the last couple of years. Now, they didn't specifically mention what their budget is. They didn't specifically mention how much they are going to spend, but they did talk financials, and I do think that is a big step going towards believing the words Sam Kennedy said again, and it keeps going, because later in the article, he was asked about a mega contract, whether or not they take on another one like Rafael Devers has, and this was his response, quote, "Is that possible? If that's what it takes, yeah, absolutely. We are investing more than we did last year. We intend to invest going forward." Again, this is about as direct a statement as you can make. There's no beating around the bush here. There's no word salad. This isn't a political answer. This is a flat statement that, hey, we, the Boston Red Sox, are going to be investing more this offseason than they did last year. And again, we don't have a specific number. It would be kind of dumb for the Red Sox to give you a specific number. But again, this is a complete 180 in terms of philosophy when making statements to the public about what they are trying to do. And with statements like this, I know everyone's immediate reaction, like I just said, is to not believe it. But at the same time, again, we go back to why would the Red Sox, if they weren't going to back these up at this point after everything that's happened, say something like this? They were in a prime position at the beginning of this offseason with their statements on the budget, which was, look, we don't don't discuss financials. We think it's a competitive advantage in the market to just simply not invest, right? If they weren't going to invest, why make these statements? It doesn't make sense to me to flat out lie in public yet again, especially after the fallout they had last offseason with the words full throttle. I mean, there was fallout amongst fans, there was fallout amongst national perspective on this team, there was fallout amongst free agents as well. Players didn't want to come here because they did not think they were going to be competitive in the near future. That was because they could not back up these statements. To do that again would be astronomically stupid, and I don't think the Red Sox ownership, for as much as I fault them a lot, is astronomically stupid. I can't help but at the bare minimum get a tiny bit excited by this. It's not beating around the bush. It's not some sort of political answer of, oh, maybe if the right opportunity comes along, we'll be willing to do that. No, this is just a flat statement. We are investing more than we did last year. We intend to invest going forward. I think my biggest fear with this statement is that technically they could be right if they spend $5 more million than they did last year, right? This technically does not mean that they are going to be spending close to $300 million. This technically doesn't even mean they're going to be a top 10 payroll team going into 2025, right? If they technically go to 10 million over what their budget was last year, they're technically meeting these requirements, and that scares the hell out of me because there could be an absolute disconnect between what Red Sox fans are now expecting and what ownership is now expecting. But I just go back to that first statement of willing to go over the CBT, and I think we're kind of on the same page here. I think we want the Red Sox to invest in this team, and I think ownership wants to invest as well. But again, I understand the pessimism. I understand the sort of halt on belief on the Red Sox ownership when it comes to statements like this. There is one more, though, I do want to point out that came from this article, and it was specifically in terms of what he's planning on doing to get the Red Sox back to this competitiveness that he's been promising this offseason. And that was, quote, that's going to take shrewd investment in free agency. It's going to take shrewd trades, and it's going to take really disciplined and dedicated player development from the major leagues down. I think a lot of people see these quotes and they cringe a little bit. I think I saw these quotes and cringe a little bit, right? Sam Kennedy's kind of been spewing stuff like this over the last couple of years, and none of it has been true. And again, I go back to simply how these statements are different than what we've heard over the last couple of years. There's no snappy catchphrase. There's no bold political statements of possible opportunities. No, this is just a blanket, flat-out statement that the Red Sox are going to invest and a plan to get the Red Sox to be competitive again. That's the difference, in my opinion, between these comments that he's making right now and the comments that he's made over the last couple of years. And that's why, to me, I'm getting a little bit excited about where the Red Sox want to be, because at the end of the day, this is what we've been waiting for from ownership, right? We've been waiting for this plain, simple explanation as to where their budget's going to be, as to what their commitment level to this team is going to look like. This isn't full throttle. This isn't the Red Sox ownership is fully committed to winning in this city. This isn't, oh, we'll see if the right opportunity comes around. We won't be afraid to make a splash. This is simply, we are going to invest more. We are going to go over the CBT if necessary. We are going to give you guys more wins. And I think that's a big difference. And I go back to the word salad a bit. I go back to that word because it kind of sounds like this is more word salad. But at what point does word salad become a meal? At what point does word salad become an entree? And I gotta be honest with you, I think this word salad's leaning more towards the entree side of things than it is just simple appetizer before the meal type words, right? Just simply based on how they are phrased and how direct these comments are. Look, I'm not sitting here telling you guys to believe what ownership says. I think they absolutely deserve no benefit of the doubt right now based on everything they've said over the last couple of years, but I also think it's okay to have high expectations of this offseason. I think it's okay to sit there and say, look, we are the Boston Red Sox. We are in a prime position to compete with the youth that they have developed on this team. They should be acting like a big market team and setting your expectations for this offseason based on that. Again, you don't have to believe ownership comments, but if you're sitting here looking at these blanket statements, this complete 180 from the front office, if you're sitting there looking at the national reporters, if you're sitting there looking at the beat reporters, if you're sitting there looking at people who aren't even invested in baseball talking about how the Red Sox are legitimately trying to make a push at this thing, I think it's okay to get a little bit excited. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit excited about what could be coming for the Boston Red Sox over the next couple of months, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I understand that this could be setting myself up for yet another heartbreak offseason like we've had the past couple of years. I understand that Red Sox ownership deserves no credit for what they've been doing over the last couple of years, and they deserve all the criticism that's come their way, both by me, by you, by everyone who's talked about the Red Sox over the last couple of seasons. I understand that they totally deserve that, but I also think this should be a point where we should expect the Red Sox to legitimately invest in them, regardless of what he says, because of the situation they're in. This, to me, just sort of backs it up. We keep talking about this idea of there being smoke, right? We keep talking about, again, national, local reporters putting things together that are backing up Red Sox statements so far this offseason, and at this point, I got to start looking for a fire because the smoke is just billowing out right now. It's just flat out everywhere, and that's what's getting me excited. I'm going to be honest, these quotes pumped me up a little bit. My expectations are now high this offseason. I totally understand if yours aren't, but I also just want to make sure that you guys know it's okay to have those expectations. It's okay to want more than what we've gotten over the last couple of years from the Red Sox, and I'm starting to believe this ownership is on the same page. But like we end every single one of these videos when we're talking about statements from this Red Sox team, none of this matters right now. None of it should matter. There's no leniency when it comes to statements from this ownership group, and there shouldn't be. Until there's action taken, people will always be pessimistic about the words that come out of their mouths because they have every right to do so. So unless these words are backed up with actions, the Red Sox ownership has set the bar really high, and they now have to meet that. The only way that's going to happen is putting pen to paper, and until then, I think it's perfectly okay for you guys to sit there and say you don't believe a word they say, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? Does this change anything for you? Is this new philosophy of just being honest, hopefully, with Red Sox fan base, do anything for you? Is it the sort of more of the same? And what do you think this does for the Red Sox offseason? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen to these episodes instead of watch them, head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Also, don't forget, we're still raising money for Movember. Links to those are in the comments and the description down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you, hopefully with a bit of big news, and of course, in the red seats.